Hey everyone, Mr. Devil here, Kenny Danico, 3-time Stanley Cup champion of the New Jersey Devils, and you're listening to the Uncle Puckers New Jersey Devils podcast with Chris, Dan, Bobby, and Tony, the Uncle Puckers. Let's go Devils!
Be hearing that goal horn for real the day after tomorrow as we record this on a Saturday night, and we have preseason hockey rolling in on Monday. We are the Uncle Puckers, Chris, Dan, Bobby, and Tony. What's up, everybody? Everybody feeling good? Happy?
Excited. Really excited. It's getting really real now.
It is.
The camps are breaking. There's a lot of news coming out. We got the first preseason game coming up, and for the first time, I'm actually nervous because now I'm putting perspective. We talked about it before, right? Like, we know we got this good team. We know, we're all excited about what they can do. And there's always like, do you still have that little bit of doubt, that we're going to take like that step back? And I don't want to think that way, but I start watching some of the other teams. I'm like, this is real competition out there. And it seems like everybody got a little better. So just amped up, ready to go.
It's not going to be an easy season. That's for sure.
No.
It's going to be a lot of fun, but yeah, I mean, it's just, it's one of those, everyone is picking the Devils to have a great year. They should, for all intents and purposes, have a great year. But, again, anything can happen, man.
It's just been such a long off season. Yeah.
What'd you say, Dan? I'm sorry.
It's just been such a long off season. It's nice. And it feels like that's really done now. It feels like we're here. I mean, just everything else. School started, football started. Mm-hmm. It feels like we've been in the fall forever, but I think it's only been 2 days. And it feels like it's time.
Actually,
I'm ready for the hockey.
Today's
today.
Today's the first day of fall.
Is today the first day?
That's right.
Yeah, there you go.
So, a couple of things actually I want to talk about. So we've gotten some, the lines, or at least, how they are right now for the beginning of training camp. And we'll go over that. And I want to talk about something else. So right now they have the first line is Nico, and he's centering Timo Meier and Alexander Holtz, which is something that Bobby was saying for the longest time that he wants to see is Alex Holtz on that first line. And for a long time, or at least in the top two lines. Right. And for a while, I was not, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I know I was not, I didn't think that was a good idea. The more I thought about it, like kind of slept on it last night and really thinking about it, I do think that that's the spot for him. Then they had, let's see, the first line was one line. Then they had Toffoli and Bratt and Hughes, Mercer, Holla, Palat. And the fourth line was Michael McLeod. And he was centering Thomas Nosek and Curtis Lazar. Yeah. And then the fourth, I guess the defensive pairings were Jonas Siegenthaler with Dougie Hamilton, Luke Hughes playing with John Marino, and Kevin Ball playing with Colin Miller. What do you guys think, quick, just about those lines right now? Of course, they're not going to be set in stone, but for the time being this early into training camp, how do you guys feel about mostly just that swap out of Holtz and Mercer on the right side? So what do you guys think of that?
I didn't see it coming. I mean, I was not really – and I know Bobby said it, and it made a certain amount of sense, but I didn't think – you'd see that him in Mercer's spot there. The defensive setup makes most sense. There's like no change there. We just basically swapped out Severson there for was it Miller?
Well, Severson was playing last year on that third pairing with Kevin Ball when Ball was brought up, and then
Hughes
Luke,
together with Marino and Hamilton.
And now Luke Hughes is taking Graves' spot. So basically Miller over Severson and Hughes over Graves. Everything else is pretty much the same.
Yeah. So I mean, it all makes pretty much sense there. I'm kind of surprised to see Lazar. I thought he'd be the odd man out right now, but that it's still. What does that mean? It's not like a set thing. He may still see that. I'm glad to see him, but I just thought we would see him not make that debut.
both those dudes on the fourth line, right? Nosek and Lazar really
Nosek,
weren't.
maybe more so Nosek. Yeah.
Yeah, and I again, the more I thought about it and stuff, I like this setup right now. I like that fourth line. I know Bastian is, a good player, and we all like Bastian, but I think having the Lazar and Nosek on that fourth line will actually probably make it a better fourth line.
It makes sense. You went out and got these guys recently. Nosek wasn't even with us.
No.
And then, Lazar played, 3 or 4 games.
Yeah.
Maybe a few more, not many, between the injury and started late. So at least you're going to try those guys out. You went out and got them,
Absolutely. Tone, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, like Dan said, I figure you got to give him a shot out there, put him on that. I don't see a problem with it. It's still early. I think it'll change a bunch of times, so. But, yeah, I'm interested to see what it's like with Lazar on there.
Well, the thing I liked, like I said, I kept going back over was the Holtz on that first line. And all the points that you made, Bobby, when we went over our lines and, our projected lines, and you had him up there. All the points that you made, they do make perfect sense. Having him playing with, Nico Hischier, first of all, now you're playing with the captain. You can do your offensive stuff, and who better to learn from on this team how to be responsibly
sheltered a little bit from mistakes.
Yep.
Sure.
And, nobody is as good defensively and be able to consistently put up points like Nico Hischier. And then, what Timo Meier can do for this team is just, mind-boggling. He's going to be so good, and that, his size, his skill, his shot, all those things. Yeah, you're right. It can shelter Holtz, and he can, if he makes a couple of mistakes, they have the talent there to bail him out. But more so than that I started thinking about it. I like Mercer on that third line more so than Holtz on that first line.
Yeah.
And the more I kept thinking about it, and I was like, with Palat and Hala and Mercer, that can be a very, very scary line. I mean, Mercer is just, he's a jack of all trades. You can plug him in anywhere. It doesn't matter.
Did they get much time together last year? I mean, because they were all there at the same time, but I'm trying to remember if I ever saw that combination. You feel with Lindy, you definitely did. You just might not remember it. Probably
I
didn't
don't
last
remember
long.
it, but I'm sure they did.
To that point, that's exactly one of the points I made. It wasn't so much about thinking that Mercer is not a top 6 forward. I just mentioned the other day, right? Reaching out, I say he's going to flirt with 40. It's that what he can bring to that third line and that offensive element on that line just made a lot of sense. Like you said, more than Holtz even being on the first line or second, 1A, 1B. What I like about the makeup of the Timo Meier on the other wing is that both of those guys right now, that's going down their natural wing, and both have a shot that favors their off wing. So I could see a lot of set plays with some one-timers really going in from those two guys, like regardless of the wing they start on. So that fascinates me. And we do know that the first and second lines are going to juggle up at any time. And Mercer's going to pop up at any time. If someone's going a little slow, you can throw him right in. It's just a total win-win because the bottom line is Mercer on the third line.
Right.
That's the X factor. And now, I mean, teams got to defend us. I mean, they have to put together a plan and say, who's stopping which line?
That's the thing.
And that's incredible.
Then we also have the projected, or how they are being now during the first couple of days of camp, are power play units. So power play unit number 1.
That's exciting. Yeah.
Yeah. Is Nico Hischier with Timo Meier, Jesper Bratt, Jack Hughes, and Dougie Hamilton. That was basically badass. When Meier came in, that was essentially the first unit when he was there. Second power play unit I like a lot is Dawson Mercer. He's been centering with Holtz, Toffoli, Palat, and Luke Hughes quarterback in that second unit. I think that those are they could be two deadly power plays. I mean, this is exciting.
Yeah, that's exciting and different looks. Right, because those two power play units are going to be maybe not equally effective, but they're going to look a little different, with the exception of that point shot coming from either Dougie or Luke. So that is really interesting. And again, we all know that none of this is set in stone,
right?
But there is a reason we're seeing it this early.
And you have the finesse and the finish really on the first power play. With Nico and Jack and Jesper being able to basically move that puck wherever the hell they want. You got Hamilton with that massive shot, and Timo, I'm sure his job's just going to be the bumper position in front of the net. But this second power play unit, you have cannons on Toffoli and Holtz and Hughes. You got three guys that can legitimately score from anywhere in the offensive zone with a one-timer. That second unit can be really scary. This is shaping up to be a fun training camp. I can't wait till Monday.
Yeah, and let's not not mention what has been going on all over. And a lot of people are saying it's premature because it's 1 day or 2 days. But the reports on Alex Holtz are incredible. For they told him what you better do. Looks like he did it. Looks like he really listened. Part of that is probably natural maturity as well. You've been to this camp plenty of times. It's time to start moving. But it does look like he paid attention. He got faster. He'll never be the fastest. He's got more compete. This could be it. And we still say it could be a make it or break it year, right? It still can be. But it looks like he's going to do everything he can to make sure it's a make it year.
Wasn't he working out with Brat this offseason in Sweden at IKEA? They were both working there.
They put furniture together, and they carry boxes out to cars. That's a strong workout.
You're not kidding.
That's fine. You get
all that protein from those Swedish meatballs.
Oh yeah.
So they said he was doing a lot of edge work stuff and really working on his skating and stuff. So I mean, right now,
power play units though. I mean, you could probably put them against any two teams' top lines and say, "No, I'll keep ours." Like, take the two units from any two teams. Like, and we have like two that would be maybe 1 and 2 in our conference.
Yeah, I agree.
It's amazing.
Tone, anything you want to add?
No, I mean, I think it's kind of early, but I know I've heard Holtz is having a really good preseason so far for being so early. In the power play, I mean, obviously it's got to be better than it was last year, and I think it will be. And I think that what they're showing is pretty exciting out of there. But like I said, what is it? Is it 2 days in since they've been in camp?
So you're right. There's no reason to even talk about it. So I mean, why bother talking about training camp? It's only been 2 days.
Yeah,
I'm breaking your balls, Tony. I do want to go with this though. Bobby, you got something else?
Yeah, just to finish up here, because the fourth line, we haven't seen much of Lazar. So I just started hearing some things today about what he is and how impressed, the team and the personnel around the team are with him. And apparently he's kind of a hitting machine, right? And he just kind of goes after guys. So last week
to have a guy like that.
Yeah. Last week I read the thing from James Nichols. The article. Well, he's got a quote here on Twitter that I think is worth mentioning, because we mentioned who's on the fourth line right now. And of course that doesn't include, Bastian and that. But he says, "Now imagine you manage to get around McLeod. Pick your head up and see another one. That's Nosek. All the while, you're trying to keep in the back of your mind that Lazar is out there somewhere looking to knock you on your behind." And that just perfectly sums up what that fourth line. I'm really starting to love this guy.
If that fourth line, well, first of all, Curtis Lazar is a great interview. I love it when they're interviewing him. He's fantastic. But that's the one thing we've all been clamoring for at the end of the last season, is that's what they need. If they can add that to the game, and it becomes part of how this team plays, that physicality. It's huge. It's huge.
I love the way that was written, though. It made it seem like a horror movie almost. Other players, like, oh my God, no, we forgot about Lazar, and then that's the last thing you say before you crunch. Well, hopefully it goes that way. That'd be awesome.
I want to just throw this out there, see what you guys think. So this franchise has won 3 Stanley Cups, right? And the first coming in 94, 95. I'm just going to name a lot of the core guys that were on that club, okay? Peluso and Holik, Randy McKay, John McClain, Bobby Carpenter, Zella Pukin, Jim Dowd, Bill Guerin, Claude Lemieux, Sergei Brylin, Stefan Richer. Those are our main forwards. Our defensemen were basically Fetisov, Danico, Sean Chambers, Stevens, Niedermeyer, and Danico. All right? Very good team. Then you go to 99, 2000, right? Elias, Arnott, Sikora, up to that point, our best offensive team that we had and our best offensive line. Sure. Madden was on those teams. Breland again, Pandolfo, Brian Ralston, Gomez, Randy McKay, Brad Bombardier, Scott Stevens, Danico, Niedermeyer, Rafalski, Colin White. Great teams.
Great team.
2002, 2003, still have Elias. Gomez is there. Jeff Friesen joins the team. Brian Giunta, Grant Marshall, Mike Rupp, Jamie Langenbrunner, Jim McKenzie, Turner Stevenson. Core guys, very good players. And our defense was basically the same as the couple of years before, except Albaline was on that team in 2003.
Sure.
Now, I'm not saying those were the three best teams ever assembled by the Devils on paper, but they were by far the three best teams to actually take the ice. They won the cup.
In performance, you can't argue with the results.
Exactly.
Right.
My question is, on paper, with what we just went over with this 23-24 Devils, is this team the best team on paper that the Devils have ever put on the ice? Because I look at these four lines and I just see production all the way through. And it was, you really can't say that not only for those three Stanley Cup teams, but you can't say that for most teams in the NHL.
I want to jump.
I don't want to.
Yes, but here's the thing. You
on
tell me
paper.
this is crazy. I get the on paper thing, but here's the only reason I'll put the brakes on just saying yes, because I feel like talent for talent. A lot of these guys were going on projections. If we go on their best years, it's damn close,
Right.
But a lot of these guys, we're talking about guys who haven't had a year with the Devils to really judge by, or some of them, a year with really anybody out there. So, we're talking about Holtz and this and that. Who knows where he goes this year? It's unwritten. He could, but I would say that if they conservatively hit the middle of their expectations, the ones we have questions about, not the people who we know are going to produce like Hughes, etc. They're just in the bag already counted. But the people who have the question marks, if they just hit, the midpoint of what, not the high, I would still say yes. And it's crazy to say that because we're talking against legends from the past who are incredible. I noticed you did not mention the goalies. I think
it was Brodeur all those three times around. So, that's.
So, when we talk about the performance of the team, that's going to have something to say about it. So there's a caveat there because I think that answer is clearly in the, camp of the older teams.
Absolutely.
But, so then that has a lot to do with the proof positive, watermark here. Do you win a Stanley Cup? So that's another reason if we're going to consider that position at all, we might have to put the brakes on. Otherwise, let's imagine Brodeur in this lineup with them to keep apples.
Oh my
with
God!
Apples. I'm just saying, yeah, definitely. If we're thinking apples and apples and just take that out of the equation,
yeah,
definitely. Even if they hit the midpoint of their target, and if they hit the high point, it's not even close.
I don't want to just have a podcast where we just pump the tires of this team all around. But until the season starts and we do have road bumps and everything like we know we're going to, then that's what we're going to do. Because right now this is exciting and this looks like a fucking team that. I mean, I don't know what the ceiling is. I mean, it's going to be a lot of fun. But what do you guys think? I mean, is this on paper? You put them next to all those other teams, and you look at knowing what you know. Is this because I look at this and I say this is the best team the Devils have ever put on the ice? I'm not saying that it's going to end in a Stanley Cup. Anything can happen, but I'm saying talent-wise, I don't think this team has ever had, especially offensive talent like this. Now, I think those defensive teams of the 2000, 95, 2003, I do think that they were better, but it was a different game. I mean, now you're a great defenseman if you doesn't matter. You can be a minus 45 as long as you have 80 goals or 80 points, rather. You're a fantastic defenseman in this league. It wasn't like that back then. You were, great defenseman by shutting people down. But that doesn't happen a whole lot in this league anymore until the playoffs. But what do you think, Bobby and Tone? Curious.
I think expectation-wise, yeah, but I mean, until they don't know, it's hard to go against that 95 team and the 2000. On paper, if they hit their expectations, then yeah, I guess offensively, you really expect some big numbers this year and some guys to have really big years. Till they win, I'm gonna say no.
Well, I mean that, but we're saying on paper, you're looking at until they win doesn't really count.
On paper, yes, but I mean I don't go with paper.
That was the
so
question.
Yeah,
how about you, Bob?
That's my answer.
It's tough. It's tougher to answer. I think for me, you have to look at each of those championship teams in the, sandbox that they were in for their style of play, and then look at like the quality of the player. I mean, so on paper, I know what you're saying. You look at this team, you look at especially the offensive depth and all that kind of thing. Where I have a little bit of pause is when I do think about the defense. And again, your point taken about, what defense doesn't really do now, but what I'm in a microcosm.
But in the playoffs, I'm sorry, but in the playoffs, you have to tighten the hell up. You cannot play loosey-goosey in the playoffs. You're going to be
right. And I guess that's my biggest concern, because they were such an X factor in our success from the goaltender out. And again, you can't put Brodeur into our goal. That's not what we have.
Right.
So I just think it's very hard to say yes until you've done the ultimate, which is, again, win that championship.
But offensively, I think this is the best team that they've ever put out there.
There's no doubt. there's a depth to hockey and winning hockey that comes not strictly from talent.
Sure.
But from, kind of that it factor.
But again, until we play games, that's all we have to go on. So that's why, that's why the question is asked.
Yeah.
Being able to go the distance in the playoffs, like those things are so far away.
Right. Exactly.
I understand that was not the point of the question, but it's totally worth considering, because the question does put him up against those Stanley Cup teams. It's kind of hard not to think about the Stanley Cup. But yeah, definitely. And then it gets you arguing about the different eras of hockey and how much has it gone away when we know that in the playoffs, everybody's got to tighten up, like you said, and the teams that go to distance seem like they're the ones who bought into defensive strategies, at least many, if not most, of the years. It just goes that way at the very end. It's so weird. It's like people who want to win the cup remember the old game. And,
I mean, that could very well
score as many goals as possible.
I'll tell you the one thing that gives me pause with this team, and I'll call it the Connor McDavid / Edmonton Oilers syndrome. And I worry about that. Here's a team that regular season, they will beat the living shit out of you. Best power play to ever put out on the ice. They can score at will. And what happens in the playoffs? Everything gets tightened up and they can't win. And that's something that does.
Last year's series against Carolina.
Right.
Where,
and that,
you're like, you're not ready for this game, guys. You've been playing a different game all year. That's not the game in the playoffs. That's kind of, you're right, what Edmonton's been running into. Right?
And that's what worries me. Connor McDavid's now going into his 9th season, I believe, and the guy has not played for a Stanley Cup yet. And crazy. I just, it's the goaltending, it's the defense. I think they made a lot of changes this year. I think they're really close this year, but I worry about that with the Devils. That they're just even going out, like we talked a little bit in last time. Like, this is the President's Trophy out of reach for them? No, but that doesn't mean shit. It's great for what we do. It's great to talk about it. But going into the playoffs, Boston was the greatest regular season team ever assembled last year. And
right, you don't want to be that team that's built for the President's Trophy, not the Stanley Cup.
I do think that
kind of possibility here.
I think Fitzgerald's got a really good eye on that, though, and I think that's why he's made some of the moves that he made that maybe you don't think are such great moves at the time. Like Eric Halla. Maybe Lazar turns out to be exactly what we need. As much as we want Bastian and Foote in the lineup, maybe 7 out of 10 games they're not going to be, because this is what it's going to take to win this year.
Yeah,
I just feel like he's got a kind of a better eye on not letting that happen. I was listening to his interview about filling in the edges, right? Because like the core's there, the strength's there. All the offense, like we've been talking about. We know what this team is capable of. But it's those edges that are going to kind of keep it together and then bring it to the next level.
Right.
And it seems like everybody's buying in. I've also heard Palat is looking way different than last year, which we need. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of that, when you play your whole career for one organization and you win, and then all of a sudden you're in this new team, it's kind of hard for, I think that was a lot of with Palat, and then getting injured and you're away from the team for so long. I don't know if he ever, and I don't know if he ever really felt, a big part of this team last year, because of that. But so that's awesome to hear that he is,
and
doing as well as he is.
Wasn't bad in the playoffs last year. He was actually
he was great in the playoffs.
Yeah.
He was great in the playoffs. But we need him all year, and hopefully he stays healthy because
I don't care who you are. When you're new to something, to a team, to a family, it is different. And then especially in something like sports where you literally get like a break, like it's not a metaphorical break, it's a break, and you come back, now this is your second year. Things are different. do feel more comfortable. You do feel more like yourself, or whatever it is. And I think we're going to see great things from him and a lot of the guys that have a full year of the training camp and all that. So, yeah, Chris, I'm going. Yeah, this is definitely the best team they've ever put down on paper.
I think so. And I like you mentioned about the edges. Like this team does look very different in that aspect than it did last year. And I'm so excited because I do think that now we actually have depth. We have a little bit of where we feel grit should be with guys like Lazar and Meyer and Nosek. Hopefully they bring it.
A huge liability.
Right. Huge liability, two of them.
Yeah, seriously.
So. And the big question is going to be goaltending. That's going to be it.
Exactly. It's got to come up huge this year. If it does, it's hard to see. It's hard to see us not, playing deep into the playoffs.
Yeah. Now, remember we did the top 10 forwards in the Metropolitan Division the other night. Well, the guy Gretz wrote ranking the top 10 goalies in the Metropolitan Division. So you guys want to go over those?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I definitely want to hear this.
We'll start at number 10 and we'll go up.
Okay.
All right. Kochekov from Carolina. Is it Peter Kochekov? It's Pyotr. I mean, I know I butcher names all the time. That's Peter, right?
That's close enough to the way we say Peter, I think. I don't know.
Yeah.
Now, he's their third goalie, isn't he?
Yeah, I was going to say, who... wait a second. For Carolina?
Yeah.
Yeah,
because they have... he writes here...
Last year, but...
Yeah, he writes Kochekov is the biggest wild card not only in Carolina, but also perhaps the entire division. He probably has the highest upside of any of the three Carolina goalies long term, but the jury is still very much out on him. But I like him more. I like him a lot more than some of the other backups in the division and at least one starter, and he wrote Columbus. So he has a third goalie as number 10. So, okay, start there. I didn't look at these.
Have seen that coming. I figured he was going to talk about the number ones and twos and the teams that have,
Right, I would too. He does have one of the number ones or number twos for Carolina next. At number 9, he has Antti Ranta.
Oh, right, yeah.
Hopefully he doesn't have all three goaltenders then.
I don't know, actually. Let's see.
He's got to put him there.
The way
somewhere.
he spoke about it, I think he kind of came to the fact that he didn't.
Yeah, he does.
He does.
Number.
Well, how can you not have Anderson after he had
Right.
That's a good point.
job last year? If you pick those two guys,
Here, number 8, we have Carter Hart. I like Carter Hart.
I do too. He's a good goalie.
Numbers. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
Oh, number 7, he has Freddie Anderson.
Okay.
And number 6 is Vitek Vanacek. He writes, the one thing I'm not entirely sold on with the Devils is their goaltending situation. Akira Schmidt had a strong showing last season, but it's still a very small sample size, and I am sure if he is even going to be, and I'm not sure if he is even going to be their starter. Vanacek is a more established starter here. He is another solid, if unspectacular goalie. You could do a lot better. You could do a lot worse. I just do not know if either of these guys are the answer. Oh, the answer? I didn't know that we actually needed an answer to that. Our team's pretty freaking good.
Though he's kind of talking him down for a place that occupies, what is that, 6 or 5?
6th
in the entire conference, or is this in the
Metro?
division?
No, just the Metro.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
then
just
that makes
Metro.
a little bit more sense.
Yeah, considering he has backups on number 5. He has Varlamov from the Islanders.
Okay, gotcha.
So he's backup. This guy, I don't know.
At least switch those two so far.
I would have switched.
Give Vitek a little more credit than
I'd
6,
switch
I think.
Vitek with this guy, number 4, Tristan Jarry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I would not trade Jari for Vanacek. I would definitely keep Pat there. I'll tell you that right now.
You guys, right? Vanacek or Jarry?
Vanacek. I'd want to see their stats head to head. Not that it matters. It's kind of a different team, but my gut definitely says V.
I'll even say this one, number 3. Darcy Kemper?
Oh boy. And I think I feel like his best is behind him too. I mean, he's kind of fallen off.
Okay, well, he writes here, I think I am a bit higher on Kemper than most people. Yeah, I think so. But I really like him, and I think he bounces back this season after a tough debut year with the Caps. He is not a superstar. He may not steal you many games, but he is not usually going to be the reason you lose games. I don't know. I remember watching a couple of games that Darcy Kemper was the reason they lost.
He makes a good point. Last year he was not his year at all. but he came off winning a cup the year before.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something to not forget.
I just
as
think
you
that
place him on.
his description of him and V are similar in a way where he's kind of saying that not spectacular, not terrible either, but yet they're separated by like 3 in the standings. So I'm not sure I agree with that. So you're right. I could see that being flip-flop too.
And I would take Vanacek over Kemper.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even if you look at what he did in the cup-winning Colorado team 2 years ago, they didn't win the cup because of their goaltending. They
That's
again,
true.
it was great defense.
They did cut him loose after that performance, even though he won a cup.
Did they do like they went 1-1? Didn't they? Like,
what do you
didn't
mean?
they play a game? Then the other guy played a game.
Yeah,
like
they
went back and forth, right?
They
I think maybe got a few more. I have to look that up. I don't know.
They were,
but they let both those guys go. They
that was
didn't really
weird.
see them as special at all, and that was like definitely proof that, at least as far as Colorado is concerned, they were not essential parts of that cup winning.
It was Grubauer, right? He was the other one there. I think that they were splitting it up in the first round or two, but then I think Kemper took over right, like around the finals. I mean, don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure.
I just remember watching going, I've never seen this before with that much movement back and forth.
Yeah. And that team was so freaking good. They could do that. I mean, that was an amazing team.
Yeah.
Who do you think number 2 is?
On this, probably Sorokin.
It's got to be Sorokin. It's got to be.
Tone?
Yeah, I would think Sorokin too.
It's Igor Shesterkin.
No way. This guy's he's on drugs.
I agree. I said it the other day.
He was high when he wrote this, I think.
I would take Sorokin over Shesterkin. I would.
I forgot. Is
that because the Devils have his number, or just in general?
I think, when it's all said and done, Sorokin will be the better goalie.
You could be right.
Could be
he's
right,
a little bit younger, right? Isn't he?
Yes, he's younger.
So he could be, his star is rising still. We haven't seen his best against Shesterkin. Maybe has peaked a little bit, or at least going to not reach new levels. But he's amazing. I got to give him my number 1.
Problem is he's going to be wasted down on the island. It sucks.
I agree.
It really sucks because
I agree.
Fantastic.
I do. We'll read what he writes about these two. So on number 2, he has Shesterkin. You have to love the Rangers' commitment to always seeing how many shots and chances they can allow and how poorly they can play defensively and still win. They get a great goalie. He's right. They get a great goalie, and they let the goalie do everything. They did it with Henrik Lundqvist. They're doing it again with Shesterkin. Excuse me. Their whole organizational philosophy seems to be, our goalie is better than yours, to hell with everything else. And to their credit, their goalies are so great, it usually works.
Mm-hmm.
That's
very true.
Yeah, I like the way he wrote it, and it is true. Because that whole team, if Shesterkin goes down, they're done.
It's a shame that, they have, we've talked about this in the past, they have relied on and drove into the ground so many goaltenders. I mean, Richter's the only one who ever came out with a cup.
Yep.
But they've been like that really since him, where they are always lucky to have a great goaltender.
Right.
Lundqvist, it was amazing, and he never won anything with them.
No. And so far, neither has Shesterkin. Let's hope it stays that way. And then the number 1 goalie he has is Ilya Sorokin from the Islanders. And he writes, not only is Sorokin the best goalie in the Metropolitan Division, I think he's the best goalie in hockey. And I mean that is no disrespect to Igor Shesterkin, Yossi Staros, Connor Hollabach, or Andrei Vasilevsky. Sorokin not only should have taken home the Vezina last year, he should have been an MVP finalist for what he did for the Islanders in dragging them to the playoffs. I think he is one of the most impactful players in the sport right now. I can't argue with that.
Cannot argue. Yep.
I think, don't you guys, Dan, what do you think you're a goalie guy? Like,
he is incredible.
Man, has to be the best goalie in NHL, I think.
Well, this is really interesting. I was thinking about him as Chris mentioned him. Vasilevsky, the question is he going to be done? Is there his best days behind him? But don't forget, I mean, sometimes goalies, they can have that last couple of year push in their career. I mean, think about Patrick Roy, where he was lights out in that series against Brodeur and took home a Stanley Cup and ended it all there.
And they peak when they get older too, I mean.
Absolutely, that's what I'm saying. So, like, if Vasilevsky can, erase the last couple of years where he hasn't had a real chance, or maybe he's had the chance, but hasn't really been able to keep his team, as far as, and really we're just talking about last year.
Yeah, last year was his
I think a
year.
problem
He
with
could very well end up on top this year.
I think the problem with Vasilevsky last year was just Tampa just rode him right into the ground. And I think that, when you have a guy that played, the goalie especially, that has played in 3 finals in a row, and then you're riding him like, 60-something starts every, I think it might even been more than that. I think he was like high 60s. When he gets to the playoffs, he's shot. I do think if they give Vasilevsky more rest this year, Vasilevsky's absolutely can take that team to another
Anybody know
cup
his
final.
age off the top of their head?
I've watched
57.
I've watched.
He might be done.
Old.
Between Brodeur and Vasilevsky are the 2 goalies I've seen live the most, because I've seen Brodeur a shitload of times live, and Vasilevsky I've seen a shitload of times live too. And I've seen a bunch of other. I mean, Vasilevsky is just, and like you were saying with the Tampa thing,
29.
They did run the one goal. Like they pretty much put it on Vasilevsky. They are a team that doesn't really split it up so much, I guess you would say. It seems. And that guy is just, even last year, I think, like Chris said, I think he did get rode into the ground a little bit. Plus, Tampa just they kind of fizzled out a little bit last year, right? It was like they finally came down to earth. And they're having things with Stamkos now, too. Where,
they're having
they might not
problems
re-sign him. And I love Steven Stamkos.
I think he's even younger than I thought, though, Vasilevsky. I mean, I think
Did
you
you say
cannot have him
29?
down low on your list. 29 is what that's what the Google
How
tells
can
me
he
right
be
here.
that young?
It's just amazing. Like I figured he was a little older than that, but
I thought he was in his 30s. But
it makes
Tony,
sense because Bishop was in the cup with him with the Blackhawks, so it makes sense because he was the backup Vasilevsky during that time period. So it makes sense.
to your point,
he's
Tony,
been so dominant so long. It feels like a longer career. Sorry, Bob.
No, it's fine. All things being equal, like completely rested, no injuries, and I got 1 game to win, I'll take Vasilevsky.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I would take Andrei Vasilevsky, I think, up in the he's 29. I would take him. I don't know about now. I'll be honest with you. I think I would go with Ilya Sorokin. Just seeing what he did, last season, the last couple of years, I think he's a phenomenal goalie. And
he got the Islanders very far. But
I think if you got Vasilevsky in a black and red jersey, I don't know. I think Devils win the cup 100% this year.
I still can't believe he's just 29 because I'm thinking back to like Brodeur's run in 2012.
Yeah,
exactly.
Look, he mentioned Sorokin, Shesterkin, Vasilevsky, Hollebuck. I'll take any one of them over what we have. I mean, I think any one of them on the Devils can win a cup. I have no doubt. So, I mean, I kind of feel like with us, like we have Vanacek. We kind of know what we have. We don't know what we have with Akira Schmid. Another 2-3 years, we might be talking Akira Schmid in that list.
I'm not saying like you're being this way, but I think as Devils fans, we have a problem like looming over our heads. We kind of have like just about the best of every position, just about out there in the league.
We want the best in everything.
Well,
yes.
but think about like what we're saying right now. Like our goaltender might be, in the top 10. What a bummer. We want the top 1 or 2, and then maybe we'll be happy. Yeah. That's kind of like, being a little spoiled because the Devils have made us spoiled. They're doing so, they have such a great thing going here. And not just that, we've been spoiled goaltender wise as a franchise since 1995.
That I think is the key. We kind
of
feel
we're
like
always measuring against Brodeur, and that's like a legend that you're just not likely to see very often in a lifetime. So, what I'm trying to say is I think that in the end, we can win cups with the top 10 and 11 goaltenders or whatever the hell it is. That's fine. We don't have to have number 1 or 2. But I'm with you. I'll take them if I can get them.
Well, like Chris just said, 4 years we could be totally looking like, oh, Schmidt is the man, right? Or we could be shipping them to San Jose for a bag of fucking pucks.
Yeah, we don't know. We do not know. This year is going to tell everything we need to know about that position. If those 2 guys stay healthy, we will know at the end of the season, wherever it ends, exactly what we have and whether or not we're going to make changes or we think we should make changes or we're going to stand pat or Schmid's just going to be the number 1 moving forward. And that's kind of the hope, right? That's what we all want to see. I think we have a lot of, we on this show, especially, like we really like Akira Schmid. He's a fan favorite here. I hope he works out.
Yep.
So, all right, we're going to give a shout out.
Vanacek do it too. It can happen.
Yes,
it can. And I'd be okay with that too. I don't want anybody to think that I'm saying he's a bum. He's not.
No,
it's just that I think between the 2 of them, right now with the unknown quantities, maybe Schmitz is even higher than Vanacek's.
Yeah. All right, well, we'll give a shout-out to our Hockey Podcast Network sponsors and DraftKings, and we will be back in about 2 minutes.
Hey, this is Stanley Cup champion Jim Dowd, and you're listening to Uncle Pucker's New Jersey Devil podcast.
We are back with another week of football, boys and girls, and DraftKings Sportsbook is keeping us in on all the NFL action with great offers every single game day. New customers bet just $5 and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. That's right, you throw $5 down on any of this week's epic matchups and you could walk away an instant winner. And DraftKings isn't stopping there. Oh no, they're not. All customers can take advantage of not one but 2 new offers every game day this September. Football's more fun when you're in on the action, so download the app now and sign up with code THPN. New customers can bet just $5 and get $200 instantly in bonus bets, only on DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the NFL, with code THPN. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available. For problem gambling, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, licensee partner Golden Nugget, Lake Charles, Louisiana, 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. See sportsbook.draftking.com/football terms for eligibility, terms, and responsible gaming resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. So get in on it now. DraftKings Sportsbook, code THPN. All right, we are back.
Chris, I have a shout out I want to give actually out.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I've been the last couple of days, I'm going again tomorrow. I've been to the IIHF Continental Cup over here in Kaunas, Lithuania. And the Kaunas team, I know one of the players actually just subscribed to us and I started listening to us. Kostas Gusovs, his name is. But,
how do you say it?
A defenseman. Kostas?
Kostas?
Kostas, kind of like Costa from Tom's
Right.
River Diner.
Yeah.
Kostas Gusovs. So
Gusov?
Gusov with an
Nice
AS at the end of it.
Oh, God bless you.
Yeah, defenseman. But I tell you that yesterday they beat Croatia. Dan, say it for me. I'm too early to speak these words. 11-0, and
Wow.
they beat Estonia today, 9-4. They've been playing great. And tomorrow they play Iceland.
What did you say the name of the team was?
It's Kona City. So that's what they call it.
It's named after the city.
Yeah,
Just like
so
the
it's
Kona City hockey team, hockey club?
Yes, the Kona
Okay.
City
Okay,
Hockey
gotcha.
Club.
Cool.
Their logo is like a bull. I can show you guys. People can't see it, but it's like a bull here.
Oh, yeah.
But,
That's awesome.
so they, and actually the guy who runs the whole league pretty much is for the Lithuania area is actually Zubris. So we all know him from the Devils. So
Dinah Zubris,
He's a cover at the games. Yeah. So
Now, is this-
Kona City.
Is this a tournament or is this
It's a
like their
tournament,
season? Okay, so this
It's
is
a tournament. Yeah, tomorrow's we play Iceland. And we've been going to all the games. It's been awesome. We've been going to the games for years, and they've just really improved. And
So this isn't really like a league, right? Like, explain this. We don't really have anything like this. We got minor league, we got major league. This is kind of like what, like the
it's international league, but we have
team?
this Continental Cup is like you're playing that group of teams like Estonia.
Okay, so those
It's
are
like
the
all the
national-
Baltic countries.
the Baltic countries, yeah.
Right.
But it's the national team, is what you're
Yes,
saying.
so
it's,
our
it's
regular
not just
season-
a town; it's the whole national team.
The whole national. So yeah, our regular
Cool.
season started.
I got you.
So we're running through that too. But the team is, like I said, they've been really impressive. So I've been at the games, and it's been a good.
How
time.
long does
So
the tournament last?
I think they have one more week left, and then it goes back into the regular season again. But I know this team itself, because here's a basketball place, so we're totally they love basketball. It's the number one sport, and we have a lot of Lithuanian basketball players in the States. I don't follow basketball too much, but I know there's some of the stars actually. But hockey's really picking up here, man, and the team has been doing great.
Keep us in the loop on what's going on with those guys, and we'll be
We're
rooting for
your place
them.
for
So
Kona City updates, but
do a Kona
Did you ever
City
notice anybody come out of that
Continental Cup updates.
into the NHL? You think?
So
you think,
from our town, from our area, there's been 2. Kasparaitis, who defected to Russia eventually. Well, he didn't defect to Russia, but he had it.
And he played on the national team. He wasn't just in the KHL or something.
He's a Lithuanian guy, and Zubris, obviously, who's like our biggest. Actually, it's funny because whenever someone sees a Devils hat or jersey on me here, that's their tie with the
right.
Devils.
It's Zubris.
They asked me if I know Zubris. I'm like, oh, of course.
Because he was the first, right?
Yeah.
Like you said, he was the first.
And, Kasparaitis, obviously, their other big dude that came out of here. But it's really cool and exciting around here to see the team.
Keep us posted on what they do in the Cup and the rest of the season, because
tomorrow's Iceland.
That's awesome. That is awesome. And to the dude that's checking us out, I guess he understands English, huh?
Yes.
Oh, that helps.
He had a hell of a game today, man. I was putting some hits in, so it was nice.
Nice.
Congrats, Augustus.
Cool.
So, do we have any more? Do we know? I know I checked today and I couldn't find anything as far as, excuse me, where our squads are going and who's going to Philly or home for Philly and going to Montreal, or do we not know yet?
I haven't seen anything yet.
No, I thought you would
What
be
do you
on
guys
top
think
of that.
about this split squad deal? Years ago they didn't do this, but I don't know how long ago they've started. It's been quite a while now.
They've been doing it a long time.
But how do you feel about it? Do you think there's a point to it all, or do you find it kind of pointless? I feel like the latter personally. Why do we have to play 2 games in one night with the split squad? What does it do for us?
I'm guessing
in
it's
the
just to
beginning,
get all the people, get all the players in on some action, and
Just
maybe
first game or two, right?
Yeah, I
They
guess
do this in baseball too.
Yeah.
Doesn't it limit though, your choices? You can get more bodies in, but can you put together a team that's going to look like the team you want to test out right now, or is that just then you're leaving the other one just completely a bunch of guys that you don't know are not going to play?
It's kind of like what we touched on last show, right, Dan? It's like at this stage with this team, I'd be more concerned about kind of fine tuning as much as possible for these 6 games. And not experimenting, because it really only is going to be a couple of spots that people fill into. So I'm with you. I don't like it right now, but in years past, I understood it just to kind of get everybody the reps.
For lack of a better term, with any coach, I'm trying to remember this happening, send a total scrub squad so they could fine tune the main team. I don't know.
Pretty sure I've seen some uneven sends before if it happens later in the preseason.
Well, right now they have the team broken into 3 groups. So it's Group A, Group B, Group C. I'll tell you who's in them.
It's not 1, 2, 3. That's just odd.
And we could see, is there one? I didn't see this, so I just pulled this up. So I don't know. Maybe there is a squad that is just a bunch of slappies. So Group A has Tice Thompson, Michael McLeod, Curtis Lazar, Max Willman, Jesper Bratt, Tyler Toffoli, Philippe Angaris, Jack Hughes, Thomas Nosek. If I fucked up anyone's names, I apologize. Those are our forwards. Our defensemen for Group A it's true, Brendan Smith, Colin Miller, Luke Hughes, Cal Foote, Michael Jukovic, I don't know, Kevin Ball, Joe Gambardelli, and they have him here. He's skating as a defenseman in Group A, but yet he's skating as a forward in Group B.
Now we're just getting silly.
And
you
then
guys watch him play? I've seen him play. He plays in Utica a lot. He's one of those Utica guys.
The goaltenders for Group A are Tyler Brennan, who we saw on Friday night in the game against Buffalo, and Vitek Vanacek. Those are our Group A. Group B forwards are Alex Holtz, Nico Heischer, Timo Meyer, Joe Gambardelli, or Gambardella, Justin Dowling, Kyle Kriskula, Brian Hallinan, Cam Squires, who's actually injured, I believe. I think he's going to be out for a few weeks. Javier Parent, Ryan Schmeiser, and Josh Philman. Those are our Group A. Group B forwards. Our defensemen are John Marino, Simone Nemec, Tyler Witherspoon, Colin Felix, Daniel Misiel, who also I saw on the cup, the Prospect Cup. Goaltenders there were Akira Schmid and Isaac Poulter. And Group C, forwards are Chris Tierney, Shane Bowers, Andre Palat, Nolan Foote, Eric Holla, Chase Stillman, Cole Brown, Timur Ibragimov, Dawson Mercer, and Graham Clark. Our defensemen for Group C are Dougie Hamilton, Tobias Villan, Robbie Russo, Jonas Siegenthaler, Santeri Hataka, and our goaltenders are Keith Kincaid, Eric Hallgren, and Jeremy Brodeur. Those are so Brodeur made it to camp.
Yeah, that's good to hear.
And I tell you, Graham Clark's been having a really good camp, and I really am interested to see. I know a couple weeks ago I didn't think he would make the starting lineup, but he's a guy that if he doesn't make it, man, if I was him, I kind of want to go somewhere. I don't know. It's he's really produced this in camp.
He's got
see
an
any
extra
logic
produce
with-
to break.
Oh yeah, that's going to be hard.
Yeah.
What was
Do
that?
you guys see any logic to like the way they set these teams out? Like, is there anything good about these groupings versus any other scrambling you could do based on position?
I didn't see a pattern or anything that I could
I was
understand.
wondering
right?
if I was missing something. Like,
There's a pattern. There is a pattern. The pattern that I could pick out in all the groups have one of our forward lines together. So Group A has Jesper Bratt, Jack Hughes, and Tyler Toffoli.
Yeah.
okay, so
And they're
do get
playing
to see the
group-
forward lines playing together. as
Group
one
B, has Holtz and Heischer and Meyer on there, and Group C has Palat and Holla and Dawson Mercer.
Okay.
How about the defensive pairings? Are they doing that, keeping them together? Did I notice that either?
Well, it was Dougie Hamilton was playing with Jonas Siegenthaler. They're in
Okay,
Group
so-
C.
So they did take
John
the team-
Marino.
They kept their partners together.
No, because Group B has John Marino, but doesn't have Luke Hughes.
Yeah.
Luke Hughes, they have up in the Group A, where he's on with Colin Miller, Brendan Smith, Cal Foote, Kevin Ball. So that would be probably Ball. Yeah, I don't know why Luke Hughes should be in Group B if it works out that way.
Seems like it breaks the pattern, kind of.
It does.
Call them and let them know what the fuck's going on over there.
Yeah, because Ball and Miller are playing in Group A, and Hamilton and Siegenthaler are playing in Group C, and then John Marino's by himself in Group B. So I see that, and then I see a bunch of slappies around them. There are other starters and some great players around them, but for the most part, they have those forward lines set, and then they have a bunch of guys around them.
Right.
So I'm guessing that they'll probably split Group B into the A and C, and then that'll be their split squad somehow. So I would assume that you would see one of the games. You would see the Bratt, Toffoli, Hughes line as the number one line, and the other one you would see Heischer and Holtz and Meyer as the number one line. But I don't know why they do the split squads. I don't know if it's just play another preseason game if you really need to see everybody.
Yeah.
It is like when the WWF would come to your town.
Yeah.
And you would see a couple of the guys that you're excited about,
Yeah.
and a whole lot of people you were like, I don't even know what.
I was like,
this is
Saturday
not what I
morning
watch on
wrestling, right?
Saturdays.
Right.
Saturday
yeah,
morning
like,
was a bunch of
right.
bullshit fights, except
That's
for
true.
one at the
That's a
end
good
that led
point,
to
yeah.
nothing until your pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that was it. Nowadays, it's completely different. But back when we were kids, absolutely, it was Randy Macho Man Savage versus the Brooklyn Brawler. You had just jobbers fight, and then you'd have maybe they'd throw a Hulk Hogan in against a kind of known bad guy, but he'd get his ass kicked. But it all set up the pay-per-views. At least now you get everybody's basically a star.
Speaking of pay-per-view, did you guys? I don't know about last show because I didn't actually listen, but did you guys talk about the Babcock firing?
Yeah, we did. We talked
Big
about it, but
surprise,
please,
no?
I mean,
this guy.
Did they have a choice, Tone? That's what we came down to.
What? There's so many
is there a
stories
choice?
coming
I
out
don't know.
now. Now everyone's, the cockroaches are crawling out. They're like, yeah, this guy's a total cocksucker, which we all knew. But it's not. I bet you that every Columbus Blue Jacket player is taking a deep breath and is like, thank God.
At least it's over too. Even if you were a Babcock guy and you wanted to be backing him up, and at least it's over now, and you don't have to have reporters asking you about it every week.
Right.
I mean, I feel like they had to do it just to get it done.
I'm not a
The
huge.
press conference was lame though. The press conference was like, they're just like, we made a mistake.
Well, I mean, what else were they going to say? They're trying to save their job,
Why
so
would
they're
you
basically.
hire that guy though? I mean, I don't understand. I really don't. I know that I don't know everything. I'm not these guys. They're the decision makers. They're the guys with the checkbooks.
I mean,
but
he's been a
why'd you
big
hire
name for
Babcock?
years. You know,
That's
there-
definitely
with a
part
he's
of
awful
it.
out there.
reputation.
He's a big name.
You look at his
Absolutely.
reputation, you look at his success. The guy was a winner. You also, I think most people, I know like the national hockey media did, and definitely the Columbus Blue Jackets did. They drank the Kool-Aid. All the shit that he was saying, he's changed. He knows better now. He was even going into specifics of things that he used to do that he would never do again. And then I'm not,
He escalated.
I know, right.
Give me a
I know
phone, fucker.
everybody's coming out of the woodwork now, and so that I don't
He's
agree
pitching
with.
some
like,
weird stuff that I didn't even think he was going to
You
do.
know who's a big fan
Stinky
of this
bastard.
version?
He's never
I'll
going to
tell you-
waterboard our players. I don't get it.
I'll tell
I
you.
mean,
who a
I
big-
stirred my
he's a
coffee
very-
with his dick. That seems
very happy
inappropriate.
guy
You
with
shouldn't
this
have to say
decision
you're not going to do that.
is Mike Modano. Mike Modano
Modano?
has to
Yeah.
be very happy because Mike Modano played 1,499 games.
Yeah,
There's
I
a reason
know.
because of that, and that's
Yeah.
because of Mike Babcock.
Yeah, he benched him
Sitting
to
him.
fucking in the middle of a streak. I mean, look, the guy. I mean, I'm also like I said, I'm not a huge fan of everyone coming out and piling on now. The man will never coach in the NHL
No, he's
again.
done.
That's enough. Isn't that enough? Just fucking. I think that you're feeding this guy's fucking
I would like
ego
him
or
tarred
whatever
and
else.
feathered, though, you know, like
You know who
can't we
this
tar and
hurts,
feather
though?
people and
That's
just be done
not a
with it?
terrible idea, Dan.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
that's a
then
good
then he
idea.
has to coach with the tar and feathers, and then
But this hurts.
can make him
guys
like a
The
mascot.
ECHL.
Be
This
better
hurts
than
guys
Stinger.
like Quinville who are trying to get back in the league.
Quinville?
This is who this hurts. This is going to hurt those guys at the end of the day because
well, does Quenville have problems in his past with players?
yeah, well,
Yeah.
he has problems with the whole Chicago's. The video guy
Oh.
was like, I guess, sexually harassing players or molesting. I mean, it's crazy.
And he
I don't
well,
realize that.
and he knew about it,
Or
and at
supposedly
least that's
know about it.
and that's where he resigned in disgrace, and then they basically
I
reprimanded
kind of
him.
forgot about that chapter.
Yeah.
Whenever I think of Quenville, I think about the St. Louis Blues.
That's it.
You know,
I
he's-
see him with the
exactly.
Blues.
That's who I think in my mind. You know,
Well,
Even
you know,
Babcock, I see him. He's a duck. In my head, like just all his
It's crazy,
time and
though.
all
He's
the
gonna
other.
get
he
paid
looks
again.
like a duck and he walks
He's-
like a duck.
Babcock's
be a
going to
duck.
get paid again. He got fired out of Toronto and got paid. I mean, the guy is fucking.
Oh, he's a
I mean,
fucking
kinda
genius,
got a
right?
good retirement plan.
I would
Yeah.
love that.
Get
And he
fired,
doesn't even have
collect
to
the
work.
paycheck.
He just he shows up. He doesn't even put stuff in his locker. He knows it's coming. He just gets a bag of put the money in here. I'm gone.
I just
Great move.
this whole thing of
All these
like
Flyers will have him next.
I just don't get where he thought this was a good fucking idea. Any of this.
Yeah.
I don't know if this. I don't know if I agree, Tony, 100%.
You mean like the allegations? Is that
No,
what you mean? Or
like-
you mean
like-
the hiring.
the hiring.
Yeah.
But like I don't know if every player is taking a big deep breath, because the rumors that were coming out, or at least the news that was coming out, was that Boom Jenner and Johnny Gaudreau were backing him. They were, whether or not they're just saying what they have to say to support their coach, that could very well be it. But I don't know. Does it maybe cause a bit of a rift between the
What I
older
heard
guys and
was,
the younger guys?
So I heard this was very plant. Like what Babcock did was kind of. So say you have a team. You go into a team. You have your four main dudes, right? You bring them over. You wine and dine them. You ask them to see your family photos. You say, "Hey, man, let me get to know
Sure.
your family." But when he goes to the other guys, it's totally different. So he kind of set the plate. So he has some backing. He has guys who are like, "Yeah, he just asked me to see what my kids grow up like." But some of the other dudes were getting a whole different spiel. I heard, like let me see your phone. Let's dig into it. I think they were like talking about airdropping the pictures onto like something. I mean, it was a little. I don't know. Do you want, if I walked into your guy's house and said, "Let me see your phone"? Would you want, even though there's nothing on it? I mean, you don't want to give it.
Well,
You
no.
want
I
my
mean,
dick
we
pic on my
we
dick.
just
Heard about germs. You might have germs.
Yeah,
you know.
got to worry about COVID and all this other
I
shit.
don't
It's
want
just
people
too
to
much
see
of
the
a
pictures
headache.
I send
And I
Chris.
just mean specifically Tony.
right.
I don't
I
mean
mean,
like
it's
Babcock. He's probably fine.
yeah, but as far as and don't worry, Tony, I won't show anybody the pictures. With the whole thing, like I don't know what to necessarily believe. I think what he did was, no matter how he
I still don't
brought it
understand
up.
this story.
Yeah,
I don't
like
even understand it.
I'm gonna wait, and hopefully we will see the report that the NHLPA did.
No, I'm okay if I never know.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
Before I go, that's a sick man. I don't even understand what I'd be saying. I don't understand what he did. I literally, it's not like, it's not like I can't believe it. I don't mean that. I mean, I literally don't understand this. It's like, I've heard about all kinds of weird stories where somebody gets some kind of gratification from kinky shit. This doesn't even make sense on any level. I don't think that it's that. I think like there's a piece missing here. He might have done a lot of other stuff.
Could it
I have
come,
no.
or
I'm not
could
saying
it just
guilt or
come
anything.
down to this? Like, we talked about it, the snowflake generation and these millennials just not knowing how to fucking deal with
That's
this.
why I'm very suspicious with all of this. I almost feel like this is some weird, like half a story put out there by somebody who, like, I don't even understand it. Like, I don't know if it's true. It just seems.
As long as it's not Lindy Ruff sending crotch shots to anybody, I'm cool. As long as
I have some of those on my phone if you want to see them.
The last show that we discussed was, a big part of it was just when you have a guy the age of Lindy Ruff who should pretty much be out of touch with all these young guys, like just how amazing of a job he did
You think
or
he can't
is
get it
doing.
up anymore? Is that what you're trying to say?
Who, Lindy?
Yeah.
Oh no, he can
he's
get
not
it
a creep.
up. He can get
How
it
do you
up.
know? Okay.
Oh, I know.
Welcome to Saturday night.
Chris is going to do a Viagra ad for him next week.
The little
Lindy,
blue
are
pill.
you such a good coach because you're well past their age of sexual interest, sir?
Is that it?
I guess
You
it's
just
not.
don't
Come
find
on our
these boys
show.
attractive anymore.
I used to back when I was in
When I was with Buffalo, let me tell you.
We
my
hashtag the show Lindy Ruff's erection.
Nice. I think I try and look at all this like with the Babcock stuff in the lens of a Devil fan, and you know what? This is a team in our division that's going through fucking turmoil, so I'm all for it. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. He'll never coach again.
I wonder what the Bruise crew is saying now about this.
I haven't listened to them, but I know they were very excited about having Babcock, but they're also considerably younger. I don't know if they were aware of the baggage that came with this dude.
I'm gonna try to get
I can hear those cans of beers getting open now.
Yeah. I think he probably has a couple with Babcock in the Union Soldier outfit that he's got to, oh shit, what do I do with these now? You put a little picture of Boom Jenner over his face.
You know exactly what you do with those.
I'm now telling the computer exactly what he can do with a lifetime supply of chocolate. Well, does anybody have anything else? I know Dan's got a boogie. And
I got one thing I need help
please.
with.
Yeah.
So somebody
of
put out on
erections.
Twitter. This is not going to help.
See your phones, guys.
The Tears of Fan Delusion. I don't know.
Tears
It's from
of Fan
KD's
Delusion.
first burner, and then it's a bunch of dots. I don't know who it is. I only saw it because the Orange and Fact Check podcast retweeted it with the caption, "Wait, when did the Devils get fans?" But anyway, it's got these
That's
tears.
funny.
Tears
These
of
guys-
Fan
and
Delusion.
they're a Flyer podcast, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, they don't have much to talk about right now.
Exactly.
So I'm just trying to understand the mindset
Talk
of what
about
this
losing a
list
lot.
even means.
Just rebuilding.
So I'll just tell you, in the delusional fan category, tier 1 is Vegas, who just won a cup.
Does he tell you what constitutes these tiers?
No, this is why I'm
Oh.
asking you guys real quick.
Oh.
What do you think it is? Just bullshit? Just ignorance? I don't know. So it's
It's
Vegas,
from them.
Toronto,
It's clickbait.
Montreal,
I think it's
Calgary,
their
and Ottawa.
commentary that on teams that whose fan base they think they're going to win, and no way they're going to win. And so,
Right.
who would know that better?
That's
than
the implied.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
correct.
who was the team before Ottawa?
Calgary.
Mm.
Okay. Now, tier 2, not as bad, I guess, is spearheaded by the New Jersey Devils. So apparently we're on the top 6 of delusional fan bases. So I ask you, is this guy just talking shit? Or
Well,
does he honestly think that we are delusional for thinking we have a successful team?
Before I can make a judgment, where does he have the Flyer fans?
The Flyers are just 3 past us. It goes Devils, Vancouver, Colorado, and the Flyers.
But
This was not a Flyer podcast post. This was some other dude.
Okay.
I don't know his
Is he a
allegiance.
Flyer?
It was
Okay.
the Flyers podcast that made the Devils comment.
I
The
just
Flyers only have one concern: is it going to be them or Phoenix who are drafting first next year? So
I think it could very well be the Anaheim Ducks.
Ooh.
I really do.
I see. Hey, yeah. Well,
They got
so
screwed
we
on.
don't-
I think-
next show we got to talk about Zegras, right?
I do think that they need to pay that dude. But I do think that Arizona is not going to be anywhere near the bottom of the barrel this year. I'm not saying they're going to make a playoff push, but I'm telling you they are going to be very surprising this year, and they're going to be a lot better. I see the worst teams in the league. Top 4, I would say Anaheim, Philadelphia, Montreal. I got to think about
Columbus.
that fourth
I'm
one.
gonna
Need
go
somebody in the
for-
West there,
I
too.
think they're going to be all right,
Another one.
too. San
I'm
Jose.
gonna go-
Those are my 4.
Yeah, San Jose.
I
There
forgot
you go.
about San Jose.
Yeah, those are my 4 that I think are going to be bottom of the barrel. So, I mean, delusions. I mean, it's kind of like, do I think Montreal fans are delusional? Yes, they are.
Sure.
But it's also like, I don't hear Montreal fans, not that I see a lot of them, but it's not like I hear them right now talking about making the playoffs or anything. They kind of know that they are not going to make the playoffs. Ottawa fans are excited at the possibility of making the playoffs, and they very well could. They have a very good team. Who's in the bottom tier with no expectations?
The very bottom tier is Columbus, Washington, Panthers, San Jose, and the Coyotes.
I wish that he was able to put some type of reasoning around
context.
And I don't understand Vegas.
In the
Vegas
top
doesn't make any
10.
sense.
Yeah,
Why would you
Vegas,
put Vegas?
what is that?
They
In
won
the
a
top
cup.
10, you got
I know
Vegas,
it's
who
not
won the
gonna-
cup.
Right.
Toronto, who is a favorite. You've got the Devils, who are now a favorite. You got
All right,
the Avalanche,
Toronto, I
who are
could
favorite.
almost agree because they're cursed.
Rangers,
So
who are
forget
still good. And let's see, you got the Kings in there, too, and the
They're
Bruins.
good. And they're both good. You know,
Yeah.
they're both probably playoff teams.
They're certainly
I mean,
not
the Kings
delusional.
definitely. No.
Delusional should be definitely down
No.
lower
Delusional
tiers.
would have been the 2 years ago us saying the best way to win a Stanley Cup is running 7 goalies. I'm telling you, that's the way to do it. That's fucking delusional.
We got the league just where we want.
Exactly. You know, that's fucking delusion. But to say that the Devils are in a position to compete for a Stanley Cup this year, I don't find that to be at all delusional. I think it's extremely realistic, and I think that this team, look, I could be just, it could be a hot take, reckless speculation, whatever. But you know, we keep hearing it. We hear it on this show. We hear it in the national. The Devils aren't going to be able to sneak up on anybody this year. You want to know something? There's enough changes on this team that there's going to be a very different team from where they were last year. I think they can sneak up on people again because now it's like, fuck, you got to deal with their speed, which you did last year. You have to deal with their skill, which you did last year. You have to deal with the fact they can score wherever, like last year. Now they can fucking hit. Now they got some grit, and they're pretty tough. And maybe we can't take liberties on Nico Hischier anymore, Matt Tkachuk.
That's going to surprise a lot of people.
That's going to surprise a lot of people. So, I mean, this team could be considerably better than the 112-point season last year, 111 points, whatever it was.
Yeah. No, I get the idea, too. Like, until they do it, you always feel that, like, okay, you got to temper your optimism there a little bit and say, okay, I'm not going to give them a crown right now, but that's true of any team. You play the games for a reason. So, to be fair, why could you be called delusional for saying this is a strong Stanley Cup contender right now before the first game's played? I mean,
and Bobby said one thing too that made sense. What sums it up, a lot of it is we don't know who his allegiance is. Only one.
Right, you don't know where. Yeah, you're right, Tone.
Right.
Yeah,
who's a big deal?
Crazy.
And that's just, you know what that is? That's 3 weeks until hockey starts. Everybody's just fucking ready to go and making up clickbait shit just to get people on. Actually, we're going to title this podcast, oh man, I can't even think of anything fucking clever to say. That would just be clickbait.
Bobby was right the whole time.
There you go.
Top tier delusions.
Blue pill.
And he's delusional.
But, I mean, we got what, the 12th of October is game 1 of 82, man. That's going to just and look, do we fire Lindy if we lose against the Detroit Red Wings after game 1? I mean, do the fans call for it? That's the question.
Idiots will be chanting it.
That was the most embarrassing thing of last year to
Disgusting.
me. Yeah, that was extremely embarrassing that our fans fucking did that. And you did it, Bobby.
The fuck I did.
Bobby,
I
was
buy
pissed
that
off. I
shit
told
at
you
all.
that.
I don't
He
buy
led
it.
the whole
hated
chant.
that
Actually,
shit. You
Bobby was
started it.
ground zero. He started that chant.
Mhm.
Yeah, just like I got my season to lower bowl.
Bobby at opening night handing out stickers. Everyone, be ready.
There you go.
He just got a jersey. Where
Find
the back of it
the
says
pucker,
Fire
you'll
Lindy.
get a free sticker.
The pucker, you'll
Fire
get
Lindy on the
stickers.
back of his jersey, exactly. But all right, I think on that note, we're going to wrap it up for the evening. To our listeners, wherever you are listening to us, please positive review, thumbs up, like, 5-star rating goes a long way. Comments,
Yep.
we would like those, and we want to start when the season starts to get our little fan feedback section of the show together. So please, any questions about this team, any thoughts about this team, throw them, DM us, unclepuckers@gmail.com. We will check them out. We'll read them on the air. As you can tell, we don't get any because, not enough people listen to us. So
We should do, Chris. I know Dan's got to get out of here, so I'll make this
Mail
the
each
second
other?
thing. We should,
Yeah,
we
we
should email each other. Fake little letters. No, we should we should give out, like, when we get some stickers, we should put like 4 to the side. If someone wants them, we send them to them. You know.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, you know, I know there's some people that do listen to all the time and you know, say some great things online to us, like, you know, you guys suck. No,
Which
but
is true.
yeah, which is
Good
true.
compliment.
But
Yeah.
I
It's
think
just
that would be
not
kind of
have our
cool to
parents
do.
Uncle suckers.
Yeah, you know, so
I
we do
agree.
have some merch in the
Let's
works.
kill it.
Yeah, we do have some merch in the works. We have some live streaming stuff that's going to be going on in the future. So just stay tuned for all that, and you know, ways to just kind of get our audience and our listeners more involved with us. So on that note, for Tony, Bob, and Dan, I'm Chris. We're the Uncle Puckers. See you when we see you.
Look at that.
Ooh, look at that, Dan.
Yeah, I checked it this time.
That's fucking money.
Earn it.
Extra working. Checked it. See if it works.
It's over, Johnny.
It almost worked.
Mostly worked.
Mostly worked.
All right.